Jack, author of Love Not Fear, and I'm with my usual co-host Paul Simon Smith and our regular guest now, Teresa Fox.
Hello.
Jack,
Yes, mate.
we can't see you, Jack. I can't see you. There he is.
There you are.
Don't wind me up today. I'm not in the mood. So, what sort of week you both had,
Teresa, you go first.
Paul?
Very
Okay.
exciting, I'd say.
What you been doing apart from going around Star Forts?
Yeah, lots of exploring, getting out in nature.
Yeah,
It's been good. It's been a very good week.
great. Where have you been going?
Well, we've been to a place called Seanmead in the middle of nowhere, just the other side of the river, fairly opposite to the fort we went to before in Tilbury, and it was an extremely interesting place that appears to just have been taken off the map. It's an old military site, and it involved a 3-mile walk to get to it from our car, but it was well worth it because it was well, you'll see we've got some images lined up, so we'll talk you through that.
Yeah, I was looking at Tilbury Fort on the internet earlier on. Well, not Tilbury Fort, Tilbury the town, and it's apparently it was originally a Saxon settlement, and it actually means the fort, the borough, the fort of Tiller.
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 Who was Tiller?
Or however they pronounced it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it meant. It meant his fort or his fortified farm and encampment, and
well, that's
everything.
interesting because that goes back about 1,500 years, doesn't it, or so? Yeah, very interesting.
That is interesting.
So, do you want to launch into your presentation?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Let's have a look at these slides because some of them are very, very interesting, I think.
I haven't seen these yet either, so I'm
Haven't
quite
you?
interested. Well, I've seen the pictures, but I haven't seen the slides that we're showing, so I'm quite excited.
Right. I'm just going to say, for everybody's sake, we were doing these. I was doing these pictures right up until the deadline. So if I haven't got them completely in order, I apologise. Hang on, I've got something wrong here. No, I haven't. Okay, so there's your first slide.
There we are. So this, people, was our destination on Saturday, the Seanmead ex-military camp in the middle of nowhere marshland in Kent. Very soggy underfoot. Took us about a 3-mile walk to get there. Next slide, please, Jack.
Yeah. Can I just say, if you could tell me when you want me to cue the short video as well, because it's not it's obviously in a different place.
Right. So we found lots of archways there. This is from the inside of the fort. Impressive looking blockwork at the top. Some of these stones look extremely weathered as well, as you can see.
And very, very huge.
Yeah, and we've got some really big blocks here as well. Next slide, please, Jack.
How big, Paul? What do you think the biggest one is? What do you think
the biggest one I saw, which is featured in one of these slides, I would estimate is, looking at megalithic blocks around the world, I would estimate maybe sort of 10 tons possibly,
10
which
tons.
is a decent size. Right, now that's the other side of the fort. Now this stonework reminds me of other much more famous ancient sites around the world, especially Sacsayhuaman in Peru. The blockwork is pretty similar. I'm not saying it's from the same age or the same builders or whatever, but if you look closely, top left of your screen, and look at the blocks that are forming the archway there, I find the shape of them very, very interesting, very unorthodox. Next slide, please. Right, okay. So that's just another image of what you were just previously looking at. Apologies for the swear words that I've just noticed, the graffiti. But you can see if you just look at the top of the archway there and those blocks, I mean, they're pretty spectacular, I would have said. And when you're standing underneath them, you can really appreciate the curvature.
Yeah, I mean, we stood underneath that arch, didn't we, Paul? And like we can fit under there standing. They are huge.
Yeah,
and everything is mud flooded.
Okay, next slide, please, Jack. Right, now you can see here a lot of yellow brickwork and repair work. The yellow bricks officially go back to the early 20th century. They were used in London a lot. That's the official dating, but if you look at the weathering now, I would suggest they're much older. Next slide, please, Jack. Right, okay. There are many entrances to underground tunnels on the site that have been deliberately blocked up. So just to the left of your screen there, you can see a big white block that's just stopping people from going down. But we did find an entrance, or Teresa found an entrance, and then she pushed me down it. Next slide, please, Jack.
Right, so do you want me to do the video now?
Why not? Why not? Let's see Indiana Smith in action.
Indiana Smith with his whip. Hang on just a sec. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, yeah. So, it's called Seanmead, which is close to Gravesend in Kent, this site. As I've said before, it's very, it's quite remote. It involves a bit of walking.
Well,
there's no
from the next town.
cars.
Here's your video.
Here it
Turn around. So
yeah, turn around onto your belly. Look at you little monkey.
Right now, he says.
So there you go.
Now the treasure. So that's the previous slide. We've gone the wrong way there, Jack, I think, mate.
Hang on.
Right, that is a closer look from the inside of the fort, looking at the arch, and there you can see different blocks, different ages of stonework going on.
Also, sorry, Paul, but in this picture, you can see that the blocks there have also had a lot of damage because it was also used for military demolition practice over time.
Yeah, and we went down to the bank, and
the blocks we're seeing there.
Yeah, there's loads of just blocks lying around everywhere, and you'll see a couple later on. Yeah. Next slide, please, Jack. Right, now that's possibly my favourite picture because you can see this huge, great big block sticking out. That's the one I was saying is probably about 10 tons, I would imagine. It's very, very big. You can't see all of it. And it's just sticking out like that. Very, very interesting. Would like to know the age of that block. Next slide, please. There I am, inside the tunnel, wondering what the bloody hell am I doing here? And yeah, so just beyond me, the water hits, and it's about a foot deep. So unfortunately, I didn't have my Wellington boots with me. Otherwise, I'd have gone for an exploration of the tunnels. But we intend to do that in the very near future, and we'll obviously share what we find on the channel. But I did go to the end of that corridor and got very wet. Looked round the corner and could see that there was other like pathways, and it definitely went on for a very long thing. You all right, mate? You lost the slides. Oh, there we are. Right. Okay, so there's just another shot from the interior, and I could look at these images all day myself because I'm a bit of a megalithic nut job. And I'm not saying that these blocks that you can see at the moment are megalithic in age, but I still think they're very interesting and they're very weathered, so they're very old as well. Next slide, please, mate. That's from the other side, and that's looking at the blocks that I mentioned before, the archway. And yeah, they're very impressive in their size and their shape as well. Next slide, please. There's just another angle of what you're looking at. Shame about all the graffiti. Now that's this is from Sacsayhuaman in Peru, and while I'm not saying that the blocks or the builders are the same as the ones that you've just seen in the previous slide, the curvature is very similar. And I find the fact that I found blocks like that in the middle of nowhere in Kent, I found that very, very interesting. Next slide, please. There we have one more. You can start. That's a bit closer up, so you can appreciate the weathering. They also appear to have like drill marks on some of these stones as well. What appears to be drill marks, anyway. So, next slide, please. There you are with another shot. And I don't know if people that are watching this, if they're aware of like megalithic blocks in Peru and South America and other places, but these blocks really do remind me of those countries. Next slide, please.
The ones in Peru are a lot bigger, though, aren't they?
They are bigger, but very similar in style. Very, very similar in style, I think, anyway. And there's a close-up with a strange-looking pipe, as you can see there. Not sure what that was for.
That looks to me like a World War II installation.
Yeah, I thought it was more recent. But yeah, very interesting. Next slide, please. I think that's the last slide, I think. And this is on the bank, which is, just a few yards from the fort. And here I was drawn to this block in particular because you can see it's shaped. It's not natural. It's obviously an old block that's been blown up by the military. But I'm pointing to a symmetrical circular hole that's been drilled right through it. You can see the drill marks on the inside. So I'd be interested to know how old this block is, because obviously we've not been able to drill perfect symmetrical holes through stonework like that up until fairly recently, I would have thought. So very, very curious there. I think that's it.
I think there's one more.
Oh, there's one more bonus. Brucey bonus coming up.
Bonus picture.
Yeah, there you go. So there's another big block there. Hard to say how much it weighs, but very sizable. And the shape of it's very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Flat. It's been cut very, very well. So a very interesting place that we'll be going back to explore. I'll be going down the tunnels and trying to get some footage of it inside there. And this is the place that Teresa, right at the end of our last episode, this is the place that Teresa was talking about. She got a message from someone saying that a lot of these the caverns and tunnels are pre-Roman, or supposedly pre-Roman. Can't prove that, but we'll certainly know a lot more next time we go. And that's the end of the presentation.
Very interesting, Paul. Thank you.
That's all right. So it's just a nice little detour because we have to talk a lot on this channel about what's going on in the world in terms of fluvid, which is very important, obviously. But I think personally, it's very nice just to take a little detour from that and have a look at other areas of this type of research. And this really is about how our history, or a great deal of it, apparently has been deleted. and I'm referring again to Tartaria, which
Lots.
I initially dismissed, and then Teresa got me back into it, kicking and screaming, and I'm glad she did, because there is definitely something going on. If you look into this subject matter, there's definitely something going on, especially prior to the last industrial revolution. I think that there's a lot of evidence for antiquitech, which is basically free energy that we harnessed from the ether. And it's all been covered up, deleted, and so from that perspective, I think this is extremely relevant and very, very interesting. I don't know if you both concur with that.
I definitely do. Some of the photos that I have, I was hoping that they'd be on the slide, but they're not. In one of the photos, you can definitely see the difference. I mean, I'm going to hold my phone up. I don't know how good that's going to be. But you can see on this side that it's the old army wall.
Brickwork, yeah.
That's then blocked up another one of those arches. And then you've got the arches around the other side. Now, I mean, if we're building buildings like this like these arches here, surely we'd keep that all the way around the fort, no? Unless it's history built on top of history.
Exactly. And why did they blow most of it up? Why did they blow most of it up? What have we not
use it
allowed
as
to
practice?
see?
I know. It's such a shame.
Yeah, so I definitely smell like there's something going on with all this, definitely. What do you
If
think, Jack?
anybody's watching has got any questions, please put them in the chat.
I mean, I have a let's see if I can find the arches, because that didn't come up too bad on that screen, did it? You could see what
we could see it fairly clearly.
Yeah.
So
you could even stick Teresa on the full screen, Jack, I suppose, if she's going to show another image.
Do you want to show another image, Teresa?
Yeah, I'm just going to try and get them up. Let's have a look here. Oh, hello, everybody. So this is the image I was getting at. I don't know if you can see this.
A bit closer. Hold it right up. That's it. That's good. Yeah. So history built on top of history.
Yeah, and I really do think that's like two different time periods there.
At least two different time periods.
Yeah. And then we've got on here the covered arches. I don't know if you can see that. So there's the arch on the inside.
Yeah.
And then the brickwork over the top. And then we have... Oh, I need to find them. I wish I was prepared.
That's all right. We can come back on if you're going to look for them. Just
the arches that we see in your pictures with the big blocks.
Wow.
I also have pictures of those where they're actually covered up by brick. Yeah, here's a perfect one. I don't know if you can see this.
Bit closer.
So the arch is on the inside, and then the brick on the outside.
Look at the weathering. That's some of that is extremely old, in my opinion. I'm happy to be proved wrong on that, but I think the very origins of that is extremely old.
Yeah, I don't understand if we can build something like that as a fort where we'd go over the top of it in them flimsy old bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand that. If someone could explain that to me, that'd be great, because I don't get it.
Yeah, and we're not just saying it's all a massive conspiracy necessarily.
We just want to know.
I want to know what's going on with this. So I'm happy to be proved wrong. If anyone is going to make a comment, if
anyone has any light to shed on that, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
even if it maybe it was something before we used it as a fort and someone knows that, then great, let us know.
Anyone who's got any information, please do put it in the chat or contact us privately afterwards. Next week.
I like, if you look onto Google Maps, how it runs directly in line with Coalhouse Fault, and as rumours have it, there are tunnels connecting all of these places. So who knows?
Yeah.
I know we've tried to build tunnels. That is written in our history. We've tried and, had breakthroughs, and then we've covered them up. But who knows if we were building them or finding them.
Just a reminder to everyone as well, a really good start to all this investigation is a documentary on YouTube called Stolen History. If you watch that, you'll have much more of an idea probably of where we're coming from with all this. It's highly recommended. It's a three-parter, really, really good. You've seen it, Teresa, haven't you? Did you watch it, Jack?
Yeah.
Did you watch Stolen History?
I haven't seen it, Paul, but no, I will now. You've mentioned it.
Yeah, I'll send it. I'll send
it before. I know you mentioned it before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
It's really interesting.
There's a few other interesting videos to follow, isn't there? that are local to us.
Definitely. Last thing on that subject, last thing I'll say is that we've made plans to visit other sites, and not just sites in the middle of nowhere. We're going to Southend and Westcliff. Hello, Pauline. Southend, Westcliff, Leigh-on-Sea, because there's quite a lot of evidence still remaining, only just, of Tartarian buildings in the area. So that's one to look out for as well. We're also going to Hastings because there is what appears to be a huge, great big pyramid. And I'll just leave that one there. But hopefully we're going to get to there soon and do a feature on that, because that is absolutely fascinating, especially to me, because I've been into pyramids for years and years and years. And it's really fascinating. So look out for that as well.
If anyone is going to watch the video with the stolen history, that is what it's called, isn't it? Stolen history, and they do know Southend, try, especially from when they were younger, think back to what the Kersal looked like before and how much that's changed, because that's something that opened my eyes up.
Is Southend in stolen history? I don't think it is.
No, Southend's not in that, but
Sorry.
if you look at how it's changing over time, Southend, from what it used to be, it's actually quite alarming.
There's a guy I've been watching. Teresa's seen him too. Paul Cook, his name is, brilliant YouTuber. Puts together all these really good edited videos, and he did a special on Southend. And you can see how the building, some of the photos he shows from like the 16th, 17th, 18th century. You're looking at it and you're thinking that does not look anything like I would expect that period to look like.
Buildings are
the size of and the magnificence of the buildings.
Just grand. Yeah, absolutely grand. And all the domes and everything that's disappeared. It's gone. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we move it on?
Sorry, Jack.
Shall we move it on?
Yeah, we'll move it on now, mate.
Right. Now, I just want to do a little bit that I'm preparing, because I've been triggered a lot several months. So I've just prepared this to do. It's quite short. I'll probably do a longer piece on it later on. I don't want to take up too much today.
I'm glad you're doing this, Jack, because triggering is something.
Hang on.
Triggering is something that I've been working on with myself as well, especially when I'm on Facebook. So yeah, it's really important at the moment.
It's something that it's affecting a lot of people at the moment. So I just want to focus today on triggering in relationships. But when I expand on it later on, I'll be talking about other things as well. So when an event triggers us, we often have an extreme reaction of fear, upset, or anger. In mental health terms, a trigger refers to something that affects our emotional state, often significantly by causing extreme overwhelm or distress. Perhaps we have a deep-seated subconscious memory of a past traumatic experience, and we identify similarities between the present event and what happened before. All of this is going on in our subconscious mind. We're totally unaware of it consciously. There may only be a very superficial resemblance between the past event and this one, but our subconscious has recognized that we're ready to heal. So it has thrown up this reaction to alert us to this wonderful opportunity for healing. When we overreact to the present event or the person involved, blaming that person for the way we are feeling. However, if we're aware, we can stop ourselves in our tracks and ask, why is this triggering me? What opportunity to heal a past trauma has just been handed to me? Don't go into the story. The subconscious mind will just think it's all happening again. Just find a quiet place where you can be alone and just sit with the feeling. Just observe it as it passes through you. In severe cases, this process may require several sessions over many months. Then give the person who triggered you a big hug and your heartfelt thanks for facilitating your healing and growth. So what should you do if you've just triggered someone? Well, for a start, don't get into an argument with them, and don't try to justify your perfectly innocent behavior, as I did. That will just make things worse. Don't get drawn into their drama. You know your intentions were pure. If they can't see it, then just let it be. This can sometimes be very hard indeed. Perhaps you really deeply love that person and you now think that they hate you for what you quite innocently did. Yes, it's hard, but there's nothing you can do about it. Just give it time. They need all the time in the world to heal. Give them that time. It may well be that the other person is not yet ready to begin their healing journey. That's not for you to judge. They may need to be triggered many times before the penny drops. Perhaps you can help by making them aware of this video, but don't push it. They will heal in their own good time, or not. It's up to them. In the meantime, just go on loving them unconditionally. Often it's mutual. You do a quite innocent thing with the best of intentions, which really triggers someone you love. Then their reaction triggers you. Perhaps fate drew you together just so you could share that experience. If both of you recognize this wonderful opportunity and choose to run with it, then you can both heal and grow together. But if only one of you picks up the baton, you may need to go your separate ways. The third possibility, and I see this in so many marriages, is that neither of you recognize triggering for what it really is. And you go on arguing and bickering for years. I sincerely hope, excuse me, with the aid of this video, that won't happen to you. All right, that's my little piece. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, I've fairly recently had quite a lot of help with this from Bridget, our friend at Elders Wisdom, because I was finding that,
The Soul Centre in France.
yep, I was finding that there were people I was coming not into physical contact with, but people in social media that just riled me so much that I would get into a spat with them online, and it would often end with just me acting like I wasn't myself, like being really nasty. I mean, for example, I was reading a friend's post one day about the current situation, and somebody hopped onto the post and was saying, "I love coming onto these posts and seeing all you nut jobs talk about, your conspiracy theories, blah blah blah." And he said, he admitted himself he was just there on the post to take the mickey and laugh, and that really, really wound me up at the time. And we got into a very heated exchange on there, and I called him something nasty, and he got me banned. And what I learned from B about all this basically was that when you're triggered, it's revealing something in yourself that you don't like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I've sort of meditated on that quite a lot, and so far, it's not happening anywhere near as much, and not to that extent or level either. So yeah, it's an ongoing learning process, but it's a very important subject at the moment as well, with so much division, divide and conquer going on and all that. It's very important. So that's my thoughts on it anyway.
It's
Yeah,
like
I'll just
Chris,
say
sorry.
about my Bridget, that she gave me some sessions earlier last year that really, really helped me. So if you're watching the B, many thanks.
Thank you.
You started a process in me that's still not finished, and it's not been an easy road, and it's not been a straight line. But you started a process in me that has caused such huge changes in me since you did me those sessions back in April or May or whenever it was. I can't thank you enough. I really mean that. And I can't speak highly enough about you, honestly, if you're watching.
I look forward to meeting her too, because I've recently connected with her. Just a quick hello.
Hey.
Only because we seem to have a nice circle of friends now, especially out in that digital world. So yeah, I reached out to say hello, and yeah, that was lovely. I can't wait to connect with her a
She's
little
a wonderful friend to have.
Yeah, and coming back to what Paul was saying,
we've got somebody called Ida on, and Pauline is saying thank you, Jack. I'm sure she means thank you, Paul, and Teresa as well. There you go. Sorry, Teresa, I cut you off there.
No, coming back to what Paul was saying, it's being compassionate to yourself and creating some space and some time for yourself. So, how would I put it?
Yeah, the next part of that talk goes into a different aspect of it altogether. It goes into really what you Paul, that the thing that we see in others exists within us, and we can't heal the other person directly, but if we heal it within ourselves, it's a bit like the Ho'oponopono principle, isn't it? That you heal it within yourself and it heals it within the world.
Yeah, I ended up feeling sorry for this bloke that I had a spat with. I just, after talking to Mabi and recognising, there's stuff in myself that I need to work on, I just ended up feeling sorry for him in the end, as opposed to wanting to kill him, which is an improvement. So there you go.
Big improvement.
Yeah, big improvement.
I mean, we do get trolls. We haven't had any on this program yet, thank goodness. I hope I'm not tempting fate. We do get trolls, and some of them are paid, and some of them are just living in fear and they believe what they're saying. and they're at their level of development, their level of soul evolution, and we're at ours. And it's not our place to judge them. It's just our place to love them and let them be what they are, while protecting our boundaries. And in this case, our boundaries of our social media channels and stuff. So it may involve blocking people.
I think so. I think I was thinking about the Fluvid situation today, going through articles and stuff, and it looks to me as though, I don't want to tempt fate like you just said, but I think we've already won this. You know, I really do. They're having to backtrack a lot now, and that is
Well, the
because
Motibug thing, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's one now, all by the last little bits of shouting. There was something in the Telegraph, I think, this morning, or maybe it was the Express. I think it was the Express, that Boris is now planning on backing down completely, doing a complete U-turn, and ending all the restrictions in England on the 26th of this month, 10 days from now.
Lovely.
And he's not doing that. Well, I don't know about Boris, to be honest. I really don't. I never thought he was comfortable with it. I've always thought he was under enormous pressure, whether being bribed or blackmailed or threatened, I don't know. But I'm sure he's been under enormous pressure. I've always just got that feeling that he wasn't happy about the things he was saying. He didn't believe it. And we know he didn't believe it. I mean, look at the party. He wouldn't have had those parties in Downing Street if he believed it.
But I think, do you remember before, a long time, I think it was fairly early on in the first lockdown, he ended up in hospital, supposedly, with Fluvid. So he gets out of hospital and then starts partying like crazy. So I don't know, what does that say? I'm not so sure about any politicians. I think they're all actors. I really do. I've got to say it. I really do. But there we go. That's just my opinion.
I think.
By the way, Jack, sorry, mate, we've had a really good comment flash up. Good comment from Pauline Turner. I like this. It's a really good comment. Well done, Pauline.
Can you read it?
I can read it, yeah. It says, I have replied to nasty comments on social media by saying I love you, and they do not know what to say. It's a great diffuser. Brilliant.
It really is.
Brilliant.
It really is, and it definitely works.
On Facebook, if I'd have said I love you, Steve, he might have taken that the wrong way. So I don't know, but
well, you just say with love. Have a good day. With love. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very, very good advice, Pauline. Thanks for that. I'll remember that.
That's brilliant. So we're moving on. Do you want to do your meditation, Teresa? Are you ready to do that?
If you want me to, yeah. Unless we've got more to talk about.
Well, we've got Teresa's meditation. We've also got something I've lined up, which is the 18 human qualities most needed to advance the global awakening. And I read through this today.
You go with that first, yeah.
Yeah, I'll start with that. We'll save the best till last, Teresa.
Well, I was going to say actually, either or, but my meditation will tie in with what we've just been talking about nicely. So it's entirely up to you.
Fantastic. She's on it. Right. Okay. So the 18 human qualities most needed to advance the global awakening. So I'll read each one out, but while I'm doing that, Jack, Teresa, if you want to chip in, because there's a lot of them, so it's a kind of an open house, like when I'm doing this, yeah. So number 1, people who furiously pursue self-mastery, but are able to dodge the traps of the ego and the traps of the New Age salvation. So people who furiously pursue self-mastery, well, I think that goes for a lot of people in our tribe or the awake community. They become a lot more self-reliant, independent.
Yeah.
And it's a journey, and you get better at doing stuff that really matters. So I wholeheartedly agree with the first one. Number 2, people who meditate but do not worship. Okay, so obviously Teresa is really good at meditating and not worshipping. So I guess that kind of means, rather than, doesn't necessarily mean religion. It could mean worshipping celebrities, whatever, that kind of thing. People who go inner, so they go into themselves to learn
Yes.
about themselves by meditating. So, Teresa, can you comment on that one? Because you would know.
Yep, I'm definitely not religious. Definitely not religious. But hello. Yeah, I'm not religious. But I definitely follow a life practice. Where I create a self-awareness. Now I'm only human, so obviously I make mistakes. So yeah, it is creating an awareness, I suppose, and being kind to yourself. And for me, it's not worshipping a religion as such or anything like that, but kind of like worshipping myself, my own space, my own time, creating that so I can manifest and work and create the reality that I want.
Brilliant, Teresa. Okay, next one, number 3. Oh, I thought I was getting the full screen again. Never mind. Right. People who practice de-escalation. Now, this is exactly what we were just talking about with triggering. So people who practice de-escalation, who understand the high art of withdrawal and who are willing to compromise in order to win. So, any thoughts on that, Jack?
Run that one past me again.
People who practice de-escalation, who understand the high art of withdrawal and who are willing to compromise in order to win. So, people who practice de-escalation.
What does that mean to you, Paul?
Well, I thought initially people who practice de-escalation, the way I read into that was it was like what we were talking about a few moments ago with triggering and stuff, being triggered all the time. So, and like kind of meditating as well. So it's important to de-escalate or kind of remove yourself from the situation, meditate, who understand the high art of withdrawal. So being able to withdraw from stressful situations, conflict, divide and conquer and all that. And basically the stuff we were just talking about, that's what I would read into it. Perhaps I'm not interpreting that correctly. I don't know.
So
Any
we're
thoughts?
talking about the peacemakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Number 4, people who realise that in order to be free, you must give freedom to others. Okay, so that stands to reason to me, really. People
Absolutely.
and I think Jack will have something to say on this, and Teresa probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it goes along with a principle in my book. Although in my book it's to do with equality. It's to do with my principle of universal equality. And I actually go along as to say that those who are not willing to treat others as equal shouldn't qualify to be treated as equal by others.
Yeah, totally agree with that. 100%. Okay, next one. Where am I? Number 5, is it? No, yeah, number 5. People who are capable of staring into the abyss of darkness without falling in and without losing sight of the light. Now that's really nice, because when you wake up, when you go so far into this journey, you start to become very aware of how nasty and acutely evil a lot of what's going on really is. And so it's important to be able to do this, to be able to, when you're investigating and researching, to look into the abyss of darkness and keep your light, stay in your light. This is something that reminds me of what I've learned from Juliet Yelverton in particular. Thoughts, anyone?
Anyone here? Hello.
Not a lot I can add to that, Paul. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's certainly true.
Hmm.
There's not a lot you can add to that. It's perfectly clear.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 18 here. So I'm going to do 9 today and then 9 next week. I think that's good. Otherwise, we'll be here for a long time. So the next one, number 6, people who have opinions but revise them as often as needed to avoid getting fooled by them. So again, I think that's really important. People, you need to be able to revise your opinion. Sometimes we get things wrong. Whatever side of the
Yes,
fence,
definitely.
whatever side of the fence you're on in this debate, that's been going on in the last 2
Definitely.
years.
We do get things wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way we learn and we grow.
Yeah, and I
People
find,
believe their own bullshit.
yeah, I find
Don't they?
social
You
media.
tell yourself something over and over enough, you start to believe it yourself.
And I find social media full of ego. It's about people trying to say, I'm right, you're wrong, I know
Definitely the
best, I know
driving
more than
force
you
on
do,
there.
and it shouldn't be like that. Okay, so number 7, people who are more afraid of conformity than they are of standing alone. Now, this one reminds me of what Teresa was talking to me about earlier on today. We're having a conversation about this, and we were saying that people, generally speaking, people that are awake to what's going on in the world and the way the world is run, are often the rebels. Very often the rebels. People who don't like being told what to do unless it makes sense to them.
Yes.
And one of the most beautiful words in the world is no. So, and I think we've experienced that over the last few months now. And if people like us weren't saying no, then
Where would we be?
exactly the plan for what was supposed to have happened, we'd be a lot further down the line with it all by now.
100%.
We rebels, we tend to go our own way, don't we? We don't follow the herd. I've never been one to follow the herd. I don't expect you
Imagine
have either.
following
I
me.
like to say, stand up for what you believe in, even if you stand alone.
It's hard sometimes to be the only one that's speaking out. I mean, this is what this channel's for as much as anything. Hopefully nobody feels alone speaking out. I don't just mean the three of us, but anybody who's watching, who wants to
Anyone
chip in. You're not alone,
I think
There's
it was
hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of people probably, who think the same as you. You're not alone.
I think it was Gandhi who said, Jack, that even if you're in a minority of one, the truth is still the truth.
Absolutely, of course it is.
Yeah.
He was prepared to stand alone, and he stood alone for the several years before people started to follow him. But he stood up for what he believed in.
Absolutely.
When he was
8.
in South Africa, fighting apartheid in South Africa, before he went back to India, or before he went to India, I can't remember. Was he actually born in South Africa? I can't remember. But even there, he was fighting. Well, he was fighting with the ANC. He was not fighting. Fighting is the wrong word. He was a man of peace, but campaigning with the ANC at one point against apartheid. He was a lawyer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Number 8. People who value experience over suggestion. People who value experience over suggestion. So that makes perfect sense to me as well. I prefer.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's important to. I mean, like our trip the other day at the weekend. I could have watched a couple of videos on it myself, but to have actually have gone there and seen it for myself and explored it was much more valuable and gave me much greater insight than it would have done just by watching the video. So experience.
And coming away from even that, just to spend the day with you and Nicola, it was a joy in itself. Do you know what I mean? We got out for a good couple of hours, and lots of giggles, lots of fun, fresh air. It was really lovely.
Yeah.
Something Richard Bach wrote, and I've also quoted it in my book, because I say it about my book. And he said, "Never let a book replace your own thinking."
Yeah, that's very pertinent. Definitely.
Book or a video or something you read on social media. Don't let it replace your own thinking. Go by your own gut.
Absolutely.
Be ready to learn, but don't give up what you thought before without good reason.
And I said all that without moving my lips. Anyway, last one. That's one of my many talents. Last one, number 9. We'll do the other 9 next week. Last one for today. People who love themselves first and protect themselves first. So,
Yes.
Go on, Teresa.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, people who love themselves first and protect themselves first. So, you can't really love others unless you love yourself. That's a very basic way of putting it, actually. But
I say it as we have two hands. We have one for helping ourselves and one to help others. And we need to keep our cup full. We can't be drinking from an empty cup, or we'll have nothing else to give.
Put your own oxygen mask on first before helping other passengers with theirs.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the opposite of altruism. So altruism, as I understand it, is putting other people before yourself, basically. And that's not always a good idea.
No, it's not.
Well, that's the big lesson that's the big lesson I have to learn at the moment at my stage of development, is to love myself first. I've never been able to do that.
Yeah, keep yourself whole.
There's lots to love about you, Jack. Keep it up, mate. You'll get there.
And it's a journey, isn't it? We are just human at the end of the day, and everything is either a lesson or an experience. So
we're all just work in progress.
Be compassionate to yourself, yeah, and then you can be compassionate to others too. Be your own best friend.
Right, is now the moment to go into Teresa meditation land?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Lovely.
Right then.
I hope you're all ready for me, because it's quite of a heavy one tonight. I hope the music is okay. Let me know if it's not, guys. If it's too blurry. So today we are going to do a bit of a practical meditation, not just sitting here thinking or not thinking, and having a moment to ourselves. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty, since this is love, not fear, and I'm going to open up my heart, and I'm going to hope that you all can sit here and find an emotion with me, but the emotion that I'm going to choose is fear. And I want everyone to be able to experience that feeling and that emotion fully in this moment, so that when we come out of this, you can have another perspective on things and feel things a little differently. So find that emotion. I'm going to go with fear. Fear for my future, fear for my kids' future, fear about their schooling, fear of how that's going to end up, fear of the choices my children make, fear of with everything that's going on right now. I have friends in one category, I have friends and family in another category who I love dearly, and I'm scared for them, but I know that I cannot live there. So this is what I use as my technique to keep me in the here and now. So in my head, I will say to myself that I am scared, I am fearful, and I'm going to fully experience what it is like to say and feel that I am scared and that I'm afraid. and it doesn't feel good. Stay with this experience until you feel it completely. Now, instead of saying I am afraid or I am fearful, take a deep breath and say to yourself that I feel fear. It's not that I am fear and I am afraid. I feel fear and I feel afraid. And notice that shift from I am to I feel. And experience that shift and that new relationship. And now shift again by saying silently to yourself that you are aware of this feeling of fear and this feeling of being afraid. It is just an awareness. And experience that awareness, that feeling of fear fully. Shift into observing awareness and notice the different emotional quality that comes from shifting who or what fear is appearing to. And now shift your awareness again and say that fear is welcome. Fear is welcome here. And starting from, and as an awareness, keeping experience welcome, like a vast, deep ocean of awareness, welcoming waves of fear. Feel that awareness embody and embrace it while remaining open. And notice the difference emotional quality that comes from welcoming the aliveness, as it's not separate. That sense of support that welcoming brings. And now say to yourself, awareness and fear are not separate. And you can pause and you can be curious. And notice if awareness is arising, and in that sense of aliveness and feelings, without identifying or rejecting it, feel the open-hearted awareness fully. And notice the feeling of looking out at others and the open world from this embodied, connected, open-hearted awareness. We all have a choice, and we all have a choice now and a chance to do things differently and learn. So there is no going back to that, the old. It's forever changing, incessant change that we must learn to accept and let go and create new. Because that's what we are. We are creators, spiritual beings, and we can do anything that we put our minds to, as long as our hearts are in it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Teresa. That was lovely. I particularly like the bit about not being, not to say I am, followed by anything negative.
No, I
But
feel.
in the Latin languages, Spanish, for instance, they don't say things like I am cold or I am hungry. They say I have hunger.
Yes.
I have.
Yes.
I have cold. I am is probably the most powerful words in the English language.
Abracadabra. I create what I speak.
Sorry?
Abracadabra means I create what I speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very important. Spell, we talk about spelling for a reason. Words are spells.
They are indeed.
Very powerful spells. And it's very important to be careful how you use them.
The magic is alive.
Especially when you're talking to yourself inside your own head.
Yes. Which is
Or
why
when
I
you-
say you need to be your own best friend and you need to be compassionate to yourself. If that's what you want for others, then definitely you need to do that for yourself first.
I just wanted to point out I froze completely when you said embrace the fear and take it in like that. I just felt myself like seizing up and freezing, and that reminded me of flight or fright, isn't it? The reaction to trauma or stress.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm a freezer. I know that now. That was really good. Well done, Teresa.
Thank you. It was from the heart. It was quite hard.
Yeah.
Quite difficult.
Blimey, I felt it. That was very, very powerful. Well done.
Thank you.
Right. I just thought of something, changing the subject a minute. We've narrowed down the Zoom call, the Love Not Beer virtual pub Zoom call, which is going to be every fortnight, to either Tuesdays or Thursdays at 7 p.m. So we've got some people lined up. We just need you, Jack, to say which one you prefer, Tuesday or Thursday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday is right. Okay, it's official then. So Love Not Beer, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. What's today? Monday. So we'll aim for tomorrow week, yeah?
Tomorrow week. Okay, and that's going to be Zoom, is it?
Sorry, Jack.
Zoom? It's going to be Zoom, not Restream.
I'm not sure if it works. I don't know if you can do it on Restream. I'll have to look into it, but if it'll be on one or the other anyway. So
okay.
So
we can throw some links around, can't we, so that everyone can find us. So
yeah.
Tell everyone nearer the time, and I'll share it. You going to host that?
Yeah, I can if you like. Yeah.
I
Pauline
don't
Turner
know
says
anything at all about Zoom. So yeah.
Okay. Pauline Turner says thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Pauline. You're very welcome.
Oh, hello, Karen. Karen's just joined us.
Kay and Binks,
right at the end. We're just about to finish, Karen.
Where have you been, Karen?
Lovely to have you here, Karen.
It's lovely to see the comments come through.
Okay, so are there any other points? We're over the hour now.
Pauline is thanking you for your meditation, Teresa. So, yes, thank you very much for coming, and we'll be back next week. Same time, same channel. The time has come for us to go, but we'll be back next week with a brand new show. And there's no prize, but who can remember where that's from?
It's a kids program, isn't it?
Sorry?
Is it a kids program?
It's a kids program. Anybody listening that can knows where that was from?
No. I'll know it when you say it.
Deputy Dog.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm showing my age now, aren't I?
I know Teresa's far too young. I can only just remember that when I was really little. So sorry, Jack.
Yeah,
Can't believe you.
Just pretend I'm not.
See you all again next week.
Yep. Cheers, everyone. See you.
Bye.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.